So I just got picked up by Uber driver Robert Garcia, and we're going to go on his first pickup of the night. I asked the mentors here at the Innovation Space to print me a prototype, and after about 30 minutes, they printed me this keychain. Family of loved ones who have passed away create altars like this, leaving them their favorite things when they once lived. The National Retail Federation says that Halloween spending this year will reach more than $7.5 billion. More than $2 billion will be spent on candy alone. Thanks, Stephanie. Back in November, Doña Ana County elected a new sheriff. When he took office in January, he started an inventory of the department and discovered some things that needed to be fixed. They are calling them the Dalmatian Fleet. The peeling paint job gives them their distinct spots, but it's what's under the hood the sheriff is worried about.
They're breaking down, and to keep the repairs is costing us a lot of money.
The sheriff's fleet manager says about 90 out of 122 cars need to be replaced.
We definitely need to replace these cars because they have excessive mileage on them, over 100,000, 150, 200,000 miles, and then we also have idle miles. And when you equate idle miles and actual road miles, you're looking at some vehicles that have over 1 million miles.
He says engine seizures, transmission, and axle problems are among the issues they have been dealing with for several years. Meanwhile, they have been making the most of what they have, but it's still expensive.
We've actually had to use other vehicles that have been deadlined, that have decent parts, and replace those with current, into the current unit so we can keep at least some of our fleet going.
The sheriff says safety is a major consideration.
At any given time, an axle might give out the front end, and we're talking about safety issues also. So that is one of my main concerns.
He is working with the county commission to replace all the cars. He has already ordered 15 fully equipped SUVs. It will cost the Sheriff's Department about $750,000. I'm Analissa Reel. Back to you at the desk. Uber.
So now it started.
It sounds like a silly word, but it's the app that is redefining what it means to be a cabbie.
So hit navigate, and it automatically goes into my Google app.
So I just got picked up by Uber driver Robert Garcia, and we're going to go on his first pickup of the night. The app is simple. With the push of a button, an available Uber driver will pick you up.
Nope, I'm the only driver.
Garcia says it's more convenient than other options.
Crimson Cab is I've had slow times with it before. I've had to wait 45, maybe more minutes. Calling a regular cab can sometimes take a while too, so it's nice to have a faster option.
And it is fast. After about 7 minutes, we arrive at the pickup location.
Hi, Robert. We're going to take you guys
Policarpio Padilla is going to a friend's house now, but he also uses Uber when he feels it isn't safe to drive.
Well, if I could say this, when I'm out and I'm really drunk, just can't drive, don't want to walk.
People don't have to worry about driving drunk because I see DWI a big issue in New Mexico particularly. I have friends that have gone DWIs. Paul, your fare tonight, give it a second to load up, is $7.86, okay?
Oh, nice.
You have a good night, Paul.
You too. Thank you.
So while Robert enjoys his Uber driving and expects it to do well, the state of New Mexico will have the final decision on whether he continues to drive. Analissa Reel, News 22. 3D printing at the NMSU Innovation Center is giving students the opportunity to bring their concepts to life. Colton Lind is a high school intern here. He designed and printed a device that would make his life a little easier.
I just got kind of tired of pulling this piece off my inhaler every time I'd use it, so I just cut it off. And on NX, the 3D design software, I just designed a little piece to add onto it so I can just kind of like use it without having to pull the cap off. It'll just save me a little bit of time every time I have to use it.
So you may be wondering how printing a three-dimensional object is possible. Caleb Roy says the process sounds more complicated than it is. A 3D image is designed on special software. Then it's transferred to the printer where it takes the image and
basically builds it up layer by layer. Like a hot glue gun, it pulls material in, it melts it, and then lays it down.
I asked the mentors here at the innovation space to print me a prototype, and after about 30 minutes, they printed me this keychain. Chanel Doinoff is hoping the mentors can print something way more complicated than a keychain.
So these are called icosahedrons. It's one of the platonic solids, and I'm making a concept-based necklace on the concept of the cycle of life and death.
She decided to get more innovative.
I made these with paper, so I could make it with paper, but I just think I wanted to push it to the next level and do it with some new technology.
Unfortunately, the 3D printers were not equipped to bring her concept to life, but with future advances, Roy says it will. And he expects one day we'll have our own 3D printer at home. Analissa Reel, News 22. In order to start the new year, the Las Cruces Public School District must cut the budget, about $7.6 million. The cuts won't be in electricity or insurance. The solution comes in cutting back on staff.
That doesn't mean that we're going to lay anybody off, but it does mean that when people retire or resign or are on a temporary contract, that we will not fill those positions.
Galvan says the staff accounts for 91% of the budget, and she says if the board decides to cut back on teachers at the high school level, it will affect the teacher-to-student ratio. She says the whole school system staff must get smaller. Las Cruces High School French teacher Pamela Court says it will hurt the students.
It makes those kids who were quiet, who weren't quite doing what they were supposed to, those kids are going to fall through the cracks.
Thank you, Stephanie. Now let's take a look at our current temperatures across the U.S. For the most part, the east is going to be experiencing temperatures in the 60s. For the Midwest and the Great Plains, they are getting cooler temperatures in the 40s and the 50s. Now let's take a look at our election forecast for tonight. If you still haven't gone out to vote, you still have a little bit of time. It ends at 7 o'clock. So for Denver, we had a temperature of 37. For Little Rock, they had some rain with a temperature of 54, and New Orleans had a temperature of 65. Now let's take a look at Texas, who's getting hit by a lot of rain because of Hurricane Vance off the coast of Mexico. Major cities are going to be hit like San Antonio, Dallas, and Austin. They're expected to get 2 to 4 inches of rain in some areas, but the rain is welcome because some areas are experiencing severe drought. Now let's take a look at the Northeast, at the upper Northeast. They did give us our first snowfall of the season. Portland, Maine had 0.4 inches of snowfall with the least snowfall this weekend, and Cary, Maine had the most at 21 inches. That's all for your national forecast. Stick around. I'll be right back to let you know what's going on here.